Consider this. A widely cited study by the Census of Marine Life estimates there are over 8.7 million eukaryotic species, complex life like plants and animals. Life has evolved into countless unique and fascinating forms. But have you ever stopped to wonder, if all life shares a common ancestor, why hasn't it all just merged back into one single uniform organism? What keeps a tiger and a lion when they both belong in the same genus Panthera and family Felidae? The answer lies in a biological masterpiece called reproductive isolation, the engine behind speciation. So, what is reproductive isolation? Reproductive isolation is a biological isolating mechanism that prevents members of different species from interbreeding. It occurs when the gene flow, the DNA movement, is cut off between both populations. Even if groups mate, they are isolated if the offspring are sterile, like a mule, or too weak to survive. So, let's check out mules. Mules are sterile because they inherit 63 chromosomes, an odd number that cannot pair up correctly to form reproductive cells. While there are roughly 10 million mules globally, they are almost always produced through intentional breeding on farms rather than by chance in the wild. So for the ligers are sterile also because their parents' DNA has drifted apart over millions of years, causing genetic mismatches during the formation of eggs or sperm. So ligers, the combination of lion and a tiger, okay? These hybrids are incredibly rare, with fewer than 100 in existence. But does all of this matter? What is its importance? Reproductive isolation is one of the core mechanisms that cause new species to form, or what we call speciation. Speciation is the only way one species splits into two. Reproductive isolation is also described as a protective device because it prevents the pollution of gene pools that have evolved perfectly to fit a specific niche. Nature also favors isolation to save energy and ensure every baby born is healthy and fertile. So here we can see below an example of Darwin's finches. An ancestral finch arrived from South America and spread across the Galapagos Islands, where different island environments offer diverse food sources like seeds, insects, or nectar, selecting for specific beak shapes. This is primarily driven by allopatric speciation because Galapagos is an archipelago. The finches were first separated by the oceans between islands, and once isolated, the natural selection shaped them to fit their specific environments, like different food sources. Okay. Going back to speciation is officially complete when reproductive isolation becomes so strong that the groups no longer share a common gene pool. It has four main types, namely allopatric, sympatric, peripatric, and parapatric. The most common type is the allopatric speciation, happens when populations are geographically separated by barriers like mountains, oceans, or rivers. Because the groups can't interbreed, they evolve independently over time. And the most rare, generally, is the sympatric speciation because it occurs without geographic separation. New species evolved in the same area but become reproductively isolated due to factors like different mating behaviors and different food source. Those types will be discussed in more detail in future lessons. But now, let's see the connection of reproductive isolation and speciation. In the 80s, some flies shifted from their native hawthorn trees to newly introduced apple trees. Because they mate on the fruit they were born on, the apple flies and hawthorn flies stopped hanging out together. They were physically in the same orchard, a piece of land planted with fruit trees, but they lived on different trees. Apples ripen 3 to 4 weeks earlier than hawthorn fruit. To survive, the apple flies evolved to emerge and mate earlier in the season to match the apple harvest. The result, even if an apple fly wanted to mate with a hawthorn fly, they are no longer active at the same time. Their mating windows do not overlap. Because they are reproductively isolated by time, temporal, and preference habitat, they stop swapping DNA.